Ratan J Batliboi, who was 50 years ago or 65 or 80 years ago, is the same Ratan J Batliboi as I am today. I got into architecture pretty much by fluke because my girlfriend then was in St. Xavier's. I was thrown out of St. Xavier's. I was sent to the closest college to that, and that was JJ's College of Architecture, and that's where I did my architecture. And I've been loving it ever since. So what inspired me was just, I didn't look at architecture as a profession of just building and habitation and stuff like that. I looked at it as a problem-solving exercise, and anything that needed solutions was very exciting to me. So to start with, I don't have an architectural philosophy. It's pretty much an organic growth. Like I said, we started thinking of solutions to problems, and anything was a problem in the sense that we didn't create problems to show our solutions. We sort of looked at problems, we looked at things that weren't designed effectively, we looked at things that needed some sort of design intervention, and that's pretty much the philosophy with which we started. I ran a multidisciplinary practice for 25 years, the first 25 years of my life. And by multidisciplinary, it was a design practice. We had architects, industrial designers, graphic designers, photographers, product designers, people who would want to do anything related to design would pretty much come to our office, and we sort of created a sense of involvement, inclusion of every kind of design into the kind of projects we did. We were fortunate to have a varied range of projects demanding several skills, and I think that was the uniqueness of our practice. It wasn't just purely architecture. If you ask me, every single project of ours has been a challenge, not in a bad or a negative sort of way, but in a very, very trying and positively challenging way. Because every question that was asked or every solution that was demanded of us required a completely different set of thinking, completely different radical way of approaching the projects. Ever since I started practice, everything has been changing. I mean, change has been the only constant. In my career, we've been early adapters. So if a computer had to be bought, I wanted to buy the first computer. I've spent thousands, lakhs of rupees years and years ago trying to be the first guy to have a computer, or the first guy to have a plotter, or the first guy to have a printer, the first guy to have software, the first guy to have whatever. I think those were exciting days because you wanted to be part of that upward curve. Adapting to technologies has been core business. I don't need to know exactly how to work the computers, but I need to have a fair idea of what they can do for me so that nobody can sort of fool me or say that, sir, this is not possible. Having said this, today, the challenge is the same way as we grew up, exactly like you said, from drafting boards or freehand sketches to drafting board to AutoCAD to digital to AI. I think the way we progressed almost seamlessly and effortlessly generation by generation into these new technologies, that's the way the new architects will go through the new relationships. It's very exciting because, in 2 days, you can sort of show an AI generated view of what your client wants to see. And the client is very thrilled about it because he's got a picture suddenly in his head for what he's been asking. Is that going to work? Because that's just the beautification, or that's just the skin of the product. The internals of that product is where architectural education, where logic, where science is, where discourse, where user involvement, where inclusive of all sorts of conceptual areas, landscape, contextual, the region, the climate, all that happens. Those are the kind of things which is really architecture. The most important thing that every young architect should realize is that it's not a romantic profession. It's not what you hear about or see in the movies. Architecture, or good architecture, is about rigor. It's about huge application. It's about continual study. It's about continual people watching, because end of the day, you are designing for people. It's not you're designing for your building or your ego. The expression that happens, and a lot of kids today don't have the concentration spans that are needed for it. Distraction levels are huge. I'm not saying in a bad way, they're in a great way, because distraction can mean exposure to many things simultaneously. But one has to be able to channelize it, funnel it into your learnings or your experiences that can develop and create new thoughts, new ideas, new solutions to old problems. I think awards are interesting because they sort of bring to light equal competitors from around the country, or around the city, or around regions, or around the world. It's exciting because you're sort of seeing solutions from different spaces, different architects, different offices to a similar problem. And it's very interesting to be able to benchmark or relate or see the thrust of how architecture is moving in a certain space. The JK Awards specifically, I mean, being from a building industry product range, I think it's very important because they're fundamentally sort of recognizing talent, and they're sort of awarding or rewarding talent. And that helps greatly because a lot of architects, a lot of our practice needs patronage. I've never called myself an architect, and it's because it was a sort of problem solver situation. Did I study to become a problem solver? The answer is no. I mean, you just sort of intuitively sort of had the tools and tackles and mental makeup to be able to handle stuff. It's very interesting because 20 years ago, something like that, maybe more, I was interviewing somebody and they said, we're an urban designer and we've come back from America and we'd like a job. And I'd say, yeah, but what does urban design, I mean, what does an urban designer do? And they say, this and that. And says, but that's what I've been doing, Or somebody comes in and says, I'm a sustainability consultant, and says, what do you do? And I'm saying, yeah, but that's what we do. Yeah, so you start labeling and you start sort of isolating and siloing these professionals. And it's very sad because holistically, it's one environment that is being created. You need a good leader to see that environment gets created the way it was conceptualized. You need beautiful human relationships because we have to work together as a team towards one objective, and that's the success of your project. you need to be on the same side. You cannot have a head at the table. You need pretty much a round table to work in an architectural project. And the larger the projects get, I mean, whether it's a small 1-bedroom flat interior design that you're doing, or it's an airport or a railway station or a town plan that you're doing, you need to be sitting at a round table with professional respect. Unfortunate part is that you know we talked about art and function and finance, but there's a situation about the business of architecture which nobody talks about. And the unfortunate part of it is that the business of architecture cripples the architect. So in trying to be successful business-wise, you know, you start shortcutting, you start economizing on time, you start economizing on effort, you start, you know, all sorts of things happen, and pretty much that's a big damper to the architectural profession. So I think one needs more patrons, one needs more excitement created through competitions, through awards, through just design problems that can change the quality of life or the quality of urbanism in our cities and our country.